Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. And with the World Cup taking a 2-day break before the quarterfinals get underway, it seems like the perfect time to bring you a video with all the latest Chelsea transfer news. But before I get into it, please make sure you smash the likes, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and leave your thoughts in the comments below on whether you agree or disagree with anything that I've said. But let's get straight into it then. Chelsea and the pursuit of Endrick. Unfortunately, it looks like the Blues have certainly missed out on the 16-year-old Brazilian wonder kid. It looks like Real Madrid are very close to signing him. Fabrizio Romano reporting that Madrid are closing in on the Endrick deal. Negotiations are progressing to the final stages on personal terms too. Talks are very advanced between Palmeiras on 60 million fee plus taxes, being told the full package will be worth 72 million euros. Real want to sign the deal very soon. Now, I think, to be honest, signing Endrick would have been fantastic, would have been great. Probably the most exciting young player in world football. I mean, I'm talking young, I'm saying under the age of 20. This is someone that at 16 years of age has got all the big clubs after him, is playing senior football for Palmeiras in Brazil, commanding a fee of 60 million euros. And yes, of course, it's disappointing that Chelsea are going to miss out, and it seems like he's going to end up at Real Madrid. Obviously, he did come down to the club's training ground. Thiago Silva was involved in that as well. His family had been shown around the training ground, etc. But ultimately, I don't think it comes as any surprise to see that he's chosen Real Madrid. He's got the same agent as Vinicius Junior. And, I think it was obvious that he was only going to really end up in one place. And Real Madrid have got a great tradition with Brazilian players at discovering Brazilian talent. The chief scout there is very good at unearthing top talent from Brazil. I've got no doubts that Endrick will go on and become a top player. You're not that good at the age of 16 with the likes of Real Madrid, Chelsea, PSG chasing you and commanding that sort of fee. Obviously, there's no guarantees that you're going to go and become a top player, but I think he's got all the ingredients and everything required to go and get him. So whilst that is disappointing, I do think that from a Chelsea perspective, spending 60 million pounds, potentially up to 72 million on a 16-year-old who hasn't played outside of Brazil, can't actually play for the club until 2024. It's a hell of a lot of money to spend when the midfield needs drastically revamping. And I think, that money could be better used elsewhere and be put towards more pressing targets, such as that midfield area. But yeah, the pursuit of Endrick looks to have all but ended, with Real Madrid coming out they're kind of the obvious winners from that, as disappointing as it is from a Chelsea perspective. So I would have loved to have seen him in a Chelsea shirt, but you can't win them all. And unfortunately, when Real Madrid come calling, and particularly when it's South American players involved, it doesn't matter what project or what money you're putting on the table, you're 9 times out of 10 gonna miss out to them. And that's exactly what's happened for Chelsea. But moving on from the pursuit of Palmeiras' Endrick, we're going to talk about Joao Felix now, the Atletico Madrid forward who is in great form for Portugal at the World Cup. He's got 2 goals and 2 assists this tournament. Looks a much different player to the one that plays for Atletico Madrid. It looks like the shackles are off and he's got the freedom to go and play, whereas at Atletico Madrid, they are very much on. And Joao Felix speaking last night after the 6-1 win against Switzerland, sending another message to Atletico Madrid: the way of playing with Portugal and then the club is different. When the conditions are favourable, things go better. Essentially saying that, when he plays in a more attacking system, or, it's more suited to his style of football, then you can actually unlock the best of his talents and see the best of his ability. And unfortunately, at Atletico Madrid, you just don't see it. This is a guy that is a phenomenally talented footballer, got a big money move from Benfica to Atletico Madrid, over 100 million euros. And his talents are just stifled by the way that Diego Simeone plays. He plays with the shackles on. It's a very defensive approach. Yes, he's tried to play slightly more expansive, but ultimately, for creative players like Joao Felix, playing in a Diego Simeone Atletico Madrid team is really not getting the best out of him. You can see how much freer he is when he plays for Portugal, when he's got, those talented players around him, the likes of Ramos, the likes of Rafa Leao, Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, Cristiano Ronaldo. It does bring the best out of him. And it's clear that he's not happy at Atletico Madrid. It's clear that, he's looking for a way out by those quotes that you can see there. And also, Italian journalist Matteo Moretti reporting that I mean, I don't know how accurate this is, but I think there is noise around Joao Felix wanting out of Atletico Madrid. And Joao Felix wants to leave Atletico, and there is no going back. PSG are in pole position to sign him, but Chelsea are also interested. I mean, reports suggesting that it could take 140 million euros to get Atletico Madrid, to get Joao Felix out of Atletico Madrid. That is a hell of a lot of money. And I don't know if that's something that Chelsea should be doing in terms of spending 140 million euros on Joao Felix. If we've got that money to spend, I'd much rather spend it on Rafa Leao. I think with Joao Felix, you've got the same problem that you're going to have with Kai Havertz, in my opinion. You know, he's an immensely talented player, not really sure of what his best position is, and he needs the whole team to be built around him. And I don't know if Chelsea are in a position to be going down that route again of signing a talented player who, like Kai Havertz, no one really knows what his best position is, and he's got to be the focal point of the team. I don't know if Joao Felix is a good enough player for the whole Chelsea team to be built around him in order to get the best out of him. That's the big question. But, you know, I think good player, very good player. But again, like with all these attacking players that Chelsea are linked with, there's no point getting these guys if we don't sign someone that can create the chances for them to put away, because we can accrue all these attacking players in Kunku, Leao, Felix. But if there's no one to create the chances for them, then they're just going to have the same problems over and over again. So whilst it's great that, you know, we're linked with these kind of players, we're getting deals done and Kunku done, until someone creative comes in, you know, the attacking issues aren't going to be solved. It's just going to be different personnel at the top end of the pitch with the same problem. So a creative player is really, really important. But yeah, Joao Felix potentially available for 140 million euros. I don't think that makes sense for Chelsea, but an immensely talented player. But as I said, much of the same issues that Chelsea are kind of having with Kai Havertz at the moment. But let's move on to another story that has been broken by the Secret Scout, and it involves Borussia Dortmund striker Youssef Moukoko. The youngster out of contract at the end of the season. He said he's very happy at Dortmund, would be happy to stay there, but the fact remains that he's not signed a new deal. Though he's part of the Germany squad at the World Cup, I don't think he featured at all, or he did. It was very minimal minutes. Obviously called up to the squad as a youngster, I think 17 or 18 years of age now. Has been scoring a few goals for Dortmund this season, and you know, young players that come through at Dortmund are obviously very good. You know, they're well known for accruing, you know, some of the best young players and producing a lot of very good players. And I think Moukoko is another one. And Chelsea have begun talks with Moukoko's representatives over a possibility of a move for free next summer. Keen to sign a young German international on a 5-year deal plus one. Sources close to the Secret Scout believe more realistic chance of securing him than Endrick. Now, I get what Chelsea are trying to do. You know, Todd Boehly's made it very clear that Chelsea want to build a squad that the bulk of it is going to be young, talented players under the age of 25. Moukoko ticks those boxes. Again, unproven outside of Germany. How good really is this guy? You know, we know that Todd Boehly likes to secure young players on long contracts. You know, this 5 years plus one. We've seen Reece James sign a 6-year deal with an option for a 7th. Mason Mount probably going to sign a similar deal. We've seen Armando Broja sign a similar length of contract as well. He wants to secure top young players down to long-term contracts, and Moukoko would be no different. Now, do I think this is a good move for Chelsea? It's hard to tell. It's one of those where he would come in if he does, and, you know, he's not going to be an instant first-team player. You know, a lot of the business that Chelsea seems to be doing at the moment is very much geared towards having a great team in the next 2 to 3 years' time, but it's not really addressing the situation that we desperately need to improve now. When you look at the players he brought in, Chukwuemeka, Casadei, we're linked with Arsene Zakarian, the Russian playmaker. You know, we're linked with Andre Santos, the young Brazilian central midfield player from Santos. These are all players that, you know, are going to be good in, say, 2 to 3 years' time, and very much looking at building towards the future. Whereas we need to improve right now. You know, we're sitting 8 points off Champions League football. And yes, I know there's still Paul, the London Lifestyle. We're a big club, but, you know, we've got to concentrate our efforts on getting us as far up the table as we can, and as close to Champions League football as possible, because a lot of these players that we want to try and sign won't be interested if we cannot secure Champions League football for next season, because that's what the best players want to play, and they want to play in the Champions League. And I think Moukoko, whilst is clearly immensely talented, it's another one that kind of fits into that box of you know, looking at the next 2 to 3 years, where he could be very good, but it doesn't address the here and the now. But I do like it as a move, but I think the first team needs drastically improving more than our need to bring in young players that could be good in the next 2 to 3 years. Ideally, we need to do both in tandem, but right now, if it was one or the other, the most important thing is to improve the first team. And Moukoko, unfortunately for me, wouldn't improve the first team. But if it's a free transfer next summer, then I'm certainly not dead against it. That's for sure. In terms of other Chelsea news doing the rounds, then obviously we had a few days ago the news about N'Golo Kante. Probably is going to be the end of his time at the club. I think that makes sense for a natural parting of the ways. He'll think he's got one more big contract in him. We've got great service out of him at Chelsea, a top player who's been instrumental in so much of the club's success in recent years. But unfortunately, with the amount of money that he's on, his injury issues, the fact that he's played 1.5 games this season, and we're nearly at Christmas. And for me, it just doesn't make sense to pen him down to a new deal, particularly when we're looking to bring in the likes of Jude Bellingham, the likes of Declan Rice, maybe Enzo Fernandez, maybe Edson Alvarez. You know, we can afford to let N'Golo Kante go and look to the future. So that's just kind of my thoughts on that move. And then any other news, really, that's not too much else going on. Obviously, with the January transfer window coming up, not in a few weeks' time, there's going to be a lot more rumours, a lot more links doing the rounds. But those are really just the main ones at the moment. So yeah, those are the main kind of Chelsea transfer news at the moment. As I said, guys, please smash the likes on this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. And I'll be back with another video soon. Take care and up the Chelsea.